Hello, I'm Fred Stella, President of the Interfaith Dialogue Association. Welcome to another edition of Common Threads. Recently, I saw a special that aired on HBO called Going Clear, and it's an expose about Scientology. Now, I've been following Scientology for a long time, but by following, I mean reading about it in the news and all of their dastardly deeds, not following it as my religious path, trust me. I remember years ago, I was not too far out of high school, and I was in downtown Detroit, and a young man who had gone to part of my grade school and junior high, we shared a couple of years together. He approached me. It's like, "Hey, Fred, how are you?" "I'm fine, da-da-da-da." We have a little conversation. And he invites me up to this building in downtown Detroit to talk to me about matters spiritual and such. And since I knew him, I said, "Yeah, sure, no problem." So I follow him up there. And basically he gives me a sales pitch on Scientology, which at that point I have no idea what it is. But it didn't take me very long to come to the conclusion. Even at these very young years, I don't know, maybe somewhere between 18 and 20 possibly. But it didn't take me long to realize, it sounds like a barrel full of horse excrement. So anyway, from that point on, I just decided that I was going to pay attention when I read stories, heard stories, etc. And after seeing Going Clear, I've recommended it to a number of people because I think we need to know what is happening in this organization. Some things kind of scary. So I put out a call basically on the internet, and I said, "Hey, I'm looking for somebody to talk about this organization. Anybody out there?" And a woman by the name of Kim Lewison responded. Kim is with Families Against Cult Teachings, and she has a number of years of experience with Scientologists and knows Scientology very well. So I invited her to come on the program. She has assented, and she is with us here. Kim, hello.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Certainly, certainly. Kim, you have a very interesting story. You've been a searcher for many years. You've explored various religions. You came across Scientology. So fill us in on a few of the details, where you came from spiritually as a child, all the way to your introduction to Scientology and whatever experience you have with it.
Well, when I was growing up, I had very little interaction with the church until I was 8 years old, and I asked my mom if Santa and Jesus was the same person. And my mom immediately took me and my brother to church, and we started going very actively until my late teens into a Lutheran faith. Once I got out of the Lutheran faith and I transitioned into college life and adulthood, I left the faith and I was still looking for something that quite fit more of what I was looking for spiritually, not just the umbrella of that particular branch. So when I happened to be in downtown DC, and it was on a school trip, and basically there was a table set up with a bunch of people there offering to give us free personality tests and free stress tests. And being a bunch of school kids, of course, we don't have a lot of pocket money, so we jumped on the bandwagon. Like, yeah, that's great. And the test itself took maybe 10 minutes. It was a short 20, 25 question test. That's where they caught us, is once we took that one test, they kind of drug us into the church itself by the means of, they're like, "Oh, well, of course they're going to tell me everything bad that came out of the test." And then once they did that, they're going to be like, "Oh, well, you can take this test, and it's only $50. We're going to give it to you for free. It's going to take about an hour to take it because it's more than 200 questions. And then we'll analyze it, and we can help fix whatever the problems are that you come up with on this test." And they came up with things that I have bad sleep habits, and I don't take tests very well, and things that most people go through when they're young adults. They get stressed out and anxieties and whatnot. Well, one of the things that Scientology does, which has kind of saved me from joining the church when I was in my young years, they basically have you take this what's called an e-meter. And an e-meter, which is what they use to audit you, is this machine that's hooked up to two tin cans. And you hold onto the two tin cans, and then you take the answer the questions that the auditor, the person who's giving these questions to you, and you answer them. And while you're holding these cans, it's kind of like, if they had anything to analyze it with, it's kind of like a truth lie detector.
Sure.
And the first time that they had you do it, of course it's free because it's included in this free personality test, and then they give you a rating of that you're on a certain level. And levels go from anywhere from 0 all the way up to 15, but depending on the level, it depends on the higher the number, the better, and it's the closer you get to being clear. Well, I have an issue, and I couldn't take the test because I'm missing a hand. And I couldn't take the auditing on the e-meter. So because of that, I couldn't literally join a church because I couldn't do their main foundation of, like, praying, which would be the auditing. Well, my friends that were with me, one of them actually ended up joining the church. And later on, we separated, and, we all went off to our separate schools and whatnot. We grew up. Later on in life, about 10 years later, I was in New York City, and I saw another similar table set up, again offering free tests. Well, this one just happened to be in front of one of their buildings. Scientology has tons of buildings all over the U.S. and the world, actually. But the one in New York is one of their main hubs. It's not the top main hub, but it's one of the bigger buildings that they usually keep stocked with books and people and staff. And when I went up, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to do the auditing, the people that I was with and I was walking around with, because I was kind of alone by myself and I was just wandering the streets and looking to see something to do. But the other people, they were stopping and I was listening because they were giving the test in the street. And this was when I realized that, because I started asking people who were giving these tests that were on the side waiting for more people in, and I started asking them things about their beliefs, and they couldn't answer them. Either they didn't know the answers or they wouldn't tell me. And it wasn't until later that I found out why, that basically they're just a big, nasty cult, and they need you to pay your way up their bridge, which is the way of salvation. And once you get through all these different levels, and they have actually 8 levels, which is called OT, or operating Satan. And a Satan is basically your soul. Well, Scientologists aren't told what we now call the South Park episode about Xenu, and which is their devil. Xenu is. Scientologists are not told any of that until level OT3, operating Satan 3, which, if you're going through the levels, you have to get through the level first, then you get the clear, then you start the operating Satan levels. By the time you get through each level, it keeps costing you more and more. So they start off at level 0 for free, and then they go up. And the more you get, it may be the first class may only be $50.
Well,
The next class.
excuse me, let's back up just a little bit. First of all, I want to make sure that our connection isn't the greatest. I want to tell people that you are saying that the soul, according to Scientology, is called a thetan, with TH as in the or that, as opposed to, it sounds, with our connection, like you're saying Satan. And it might be close, but we're saying thetan. That's the name of the soul. And people, you're saying that the people you asked about their theology, for lack of a better word, and they couldn't tell you. Do you think...
It's not that they couldn't tell me. They either chose not to tell me because that's the directive of the church, or they didn't know themselves, so they physically didn't have the knowledge to tell me.
Right. And it fascinates me. I mean, I'm assuming that people who become Jews, people who become Christians, people who become Muslims, whatever religion, I can only assume that they know what it is. They know, for instance, what the definition in that particular religion of God is. They have at least a reasonable understanding of things like afterlife doctrines and all of the what is the soul, things like that. And
Yes.
you're saying that these people spend years in Scientology not being able to answer those very basic questions.
Yes, and it's not just the time they spend, it's the money they spend to get those answers.
Right.
And they're told if they get to, like, if they want to find out the level OT3 information about female and why they're actually here on Earth, then they have to pay to get to that level. And once they do, they are told if they do not pay through the proper ranks and take the proper courses, they will literally get sick and die if they are told information ahead of time without proper training.
Wow.
So if someone coming up onto them in the street that knows this information tells it to them, they're going to run away because they don't want to get sick and die.
Sure.
So,
And one other thing, too, about the e-meter test. Now, you are missing one hand, and what would happen if you just took it with one hand? The machine just wouldn't work? Is that the case?
basically, yes, because according to what they say happens, which I'm not exactly sure how the machine works because it was tested by the APA and found to be a fraud machine, and it just sends a little electrical pulse, and it's kind of like mood rings where it will flicker and move, but it's not really a determination of your mood when you are wearing a mood ring. But because I couldn't hold and have the connection through my entire body, it wouldn't have done any good holding one hand.
I see. These people who are auditors, right? That's the name of the people who actually look at the e-meter while you're testing and record the results, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you're saying that this e-meter is fraudulent, that it doesn't really do anything. But these people who are auditors, don't they believe that something is happening? Or do you think that they're all frauds?
No, they believe with the depth of their heart in what they're doing. They think that they are out here to save the world and save the planet. And people who come out of Scientology may still believe in the belief system itself that they learned and they paid for. But what they have a problem with when they come out of Scientology is getting back into society because they've been told how evil everybody is. And anybody who doesn't do the auditing, doesn't go through these steps through Scientology are criminals, and we're all going to, they don't call it hell, but it would be a Christian view of hell.
Sure. If you're just joining us, you're listening to Common Threads here on WGVU. I'm Fred Stella. I'm speaking with Kim Lewison with Families Against Cult Teachings, and we're talking about Scientology. This is really fascinating what you're telling me. You're saying here's a machine that is virtually useless other than the fact that a needle moves. And a needle can move between the numbers 0 and 15, right? More or less.
Correct.
And so somebody's taking this test and the needle shoots to, let's say, 10. So there is an auditor who translates the movement of the needle to 10 and comes to a conclusion about your personality, right?
In a sense, they come to the conclusion that you are either telling them the truth and that the memory you're having is a true memory, even if it's something about ancient Egypt. That memory that you're having about ancient Egypt is your memory. That's one of your past statements. The needle, if it goes one direction, you're telling the truth. If it goes the other direction, you're thinking about it, but you're not necessarily telling them the truth, and you're withholding information.
But you very well may be telling the truth, but the machine, because it seems to be, from what you're telling me, a rather random machine, will say no, you're lying.
Correct.
Or you could actually tell a bald-faced lie and it could register as the truth.
Absolutely. The thing is that when people are sitting there at the auditor, these sessions last at minimum an hour, which is what most counseling people that either professionals that get their masters and PhDs in psychiatry, they went to school for many years, they counsel people for at the most 45 minutes to an hour. Well, these sessions start at an hour and can literally go all day long. So if I'm retelling a story about a time I broke up with a boyfriend, and I'm talking to them about it, they're going to have me tell the story once, ask me to repeat the story again, and give more detail maybe on the weather. And then they're going to have me stop it somewhere in the middle of the story because I'm saying, oh, the sun came out at this point. Then they're going to stop me and have me start all over again, continue what I just said, and do it. They keep making me repeat it over and over and over again until I can get that little needle to basically vibrate right in the middle and not move. If I can get that needle to stay still, I'm done and I'm clear and I can move on.
So really, you are there. You are at the mercy of that needle that is moving in random motion.
Correct.
So you could tell the story one time and just be lucky and have the needle hit where it's supposed to and move on with your life. Otherwise, you're there all day.
Pretty much. And the thing is that the chances of that happening are almost zero.
Of getting it right the first time?
Getting it right the first time. That's why it takes a minimum of an hour usually.
Gotcha. Okay. So tell us a little bit about what happened to your friends. You say did you say friends plural, that you had friends who joined, or a friend?
Initially I had two friends, two just different individuals join. Only one of them got further into it, and they joined the Sea Org. The one person that was in it that was not in the Sea Org, there are basically three kinds of people in Scientology. There are the people who are members that are not actively going into the church except to take the various classes or to get the auditing done. Then there are the people who are the Sea Org, which the Sea Org is a very elite group of Scientologists, and they go in and they discourage and pressure Sea Org members from like having kids, but that's not what they're told when they're joining. They also are mandatory to sign a $10 billion, that's with a B, year contract. And when they sign this, they're basically saying they're going to devote their lives to helping clear the world and making everybody Scientologists. And they're doing it for free. Those who do get paid such little money that it's basically slave labor because they're only getting paid $30 to $50 a week at most. And it's just a really big scam. And then the last group of people that are people joining the church are the actors and celebrities. And the actors and celebrities are the ones that, the biggest one that people know is Tom Cruise.
Yes.
And John Travolta is also a big name. Fred Stella is a big name.
Yes. Now answer me this. Now, you have seen Going Clear?
Yes, I have.
Okay. In that expose, we see these very elegant ceremonies. It looks like a night at the Oscars,
Yes.
where the leader comes out, he brings out Travolta or Cruz or whomever. These people look really, really well heeled. These people got money big time, it looks like. Now you're telling me that the people who join the most elite core are poor. Who are these people at these grand events?
The ones that are sitting in the audience, the majority of them are members that have not joined the Sea Org. Some of them may be in the Sea Org. Usually the first few rows are the upper elite people in Sea Org that have indirect or direct access to David Miscavige, the leader of Scientology currently.
Mm-hmm.
And they make everybody that's why you see the naval type uniforms, because that's their uniform that they wear.
Yes.
In the first couple rows, and then after that you see people in gowns and suits. Those are the regular members that come in, and they actually donate money for the various causes. They used to only take money for classes and auditing. And they realized that was kind of a dead end when people kept being able to pay up to level OT8. And so then David Miscavige came out, I want to say it was 1997 about, and he basically told everybody in Scientology that oh, all of our books are wrong. You have to rebuy all of our books because there was an editing mistake, even though in the original doctrine, everything that was put out was said to be God's word, which was H. Ron Hubbard, L. Ron Hubbard. He was the founder.
Yes.
And everything he wrote down was, that was it. That was God's law. There's no other corrections. There's no mistake. If it was a mistake written by him, it was meant to be a mistake. Well, David and his cabinet said, no, this is wrong. We fixed it. So now you got to buy all our books again. And anybody who's OT 7 and 8 has to retake the classes because we trained you wrong. That's why you don't have superpowers and you aren't able to cure people.
Oh, I laugh, but it's painful. Really, I did not know that. If it was in the documentary, I did not see that. So what you're telling me is the people in the gowns and the tuxes or whatever it is they're wearing that look so elegant, these are people who are bakers and candlestick makers and bank presidents. I mean, these are people who have real jobs and just are connected to Scientology in the same way that an accountant or a butcher would be connected to his neighborhood church, right? They just
Correct.
Okay, all right. But then you have people who let's compare them to perhaps a monastic order. So you have those people who might have been a butcher or a baker or a candlestick maker, and they leave their jobs to become, say, a Catholic brother or sister, and then they have a whole different existence. So you're saying the people in Sea Org are like that, in that they give up their livelihood to dedicate themselves to this project, to Scientology. And
they don't just give up their lives, they give up their entire family's lives, because when they do join, they're not allowed to live with their family anymore. They are literally living in jail-sized rooms by themselves. Sometimes they share the room with other people, and they're charged these enormous fees that anybody on the street would look at them and be like, why are you paying $1,000 for that one room for the week? That's insane. But they're out there and they're thinking they're helping the world. That's why they want to be there.
Right.
But they get to the point that it starts to be an abusive situation, and they're so ingrained in wanting to help people, they don't want to stop.
Now somebody from Scientology, the organization, could make the defense. Now, I just compared Sea Org to a monastic order. Now, somebody from Scientology could say, well, yes, that's exactly what it's like. So if you're going to criticize us, you also have to criticize the Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church, and they have 2,000 years of history of having some people who choose not to enter the householder life, living a very simple life, not making any money, living in a monk's cell. They could say that and say, so what's the difference between us and the Catholic Church? Now, you may or may not even agree that monastic orders should be. We haven't discussed that, but would you have an answer to that?
Yes, I would. I would have a very clear answer in the form of, when somebody wants to leave, if they're a pastor or a monk or a nun, and they have a calling to join the church, they go through the process, they take the classes, and they get ordained into their religion. When they want to leave or they have a change of heart, they can leave. They might have an exit interview like you would if you were leaving your job that you've been at for 20 years, but the interview would take only a couple of hours, and then you'd leave, and you'd be able to go back to your family. If your family wanted to come visit you over the holidays, they could. There's nothing stopping you from going on and seeing other people outside of that institute. When you are a Sea Org member, that's not the case. You're cut off from everybody, because you're told everybody's evil and everybody's this horrible criminal, and we're all lying to you until we join Scientology.
That makes sense.
Go on. I'm sorry. Once they're in, they are worked literally from sun up to late in the evening. The average work day is anywhere from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. And they do get regimented breaks for food, and they do get time off when it comes to going from their mandatory learning sessions that last about 2.5 hours to their workstation. That's their time off, is literally walking from that classroom to their workstation. But they don't get holidays. They don't get time off to go see their family. And the little bit of time that they have allotted, they have to go to the store and buy personal needs with the little bit of money they're given. Otherwise, they can't survive themselves because they're not providing anything except for the basic necessities.
And you mentioned that they're charged for living there. But if you don't have a job, if you've given up your job as a candlestick maker or a baker, then how do you pay the $1,000 for that room?
It comes out of your pay for working.
Oh,
But
I
they
see.
They don't deduct it from your paycheck. They just hand you this, okay, this is your money that you've earned. And the money that you earn is only 30 to 50 bucks. 30 bucks is usually the average, so. And the thing is, though, that if I was in the Sea Org and I wanted to leave, I couldn't just up and leave. That would be they call it blow, which is where they leave without proper processing. And basically the processing for them to leave is additional auditing that, again, they have to pay for. That takes up to about 6 months. And that varies from person to person depending on how deep they are into the organization, but they still require you to do that.
Kim, we're going to have to stop you right now because we're out of time for this show, but many more questions in my head. This is a fascinating subject, to be sure. I'm going to ask you to come back next week, and we'll continue this, okay?
Absolutely. I look forward to it.
And we've been speaking with Kim Lewison about the cult Scientology, and you can learn more about what Kim is talking about at www.familiesagainstcultteachings.org. I'm Fred Stella. This is Common Threads here on WGVU. Join us next week. Hello, I'm Fred Stella, president of the Interfaith Dialogue Association. Welcome to another edition of Common Threads. Last week we began our conversation with Kim Lewison. She runs a website, familiesagainstcultteachings.org, and she is quite the expert in Scientology. And we talked about that particular organization, asking questions about its efficacy, its alleged fraud, and the number of lives that it has severely, severely damaged. Kim, welcome once again to Common Threads.
Thank you for having me back. I have to make a correction. I don't run the website. I just am an active member of that group.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, your experience with Scientology, admittedly, you said last week, it's not like you're one of these people who joined their elite corps called Sea Org, and you were there for 20 years, and you finally escaped, and now you're telling your story. Your particular experience is rather peripheral, and yet you seem to be an expert on this, and everything that you told me last week certainly resonates with everything that I have read and have seen in documentaries and interviews, etc. So what made you focus so much on an organization that did not destroy your life?
What helped me was when I was looking for spiritual guidance, and I went to the various churches and synagogues and religions. Everybody had an answer about what they believe in their core beliefs. When I asked Scientologists what they believe in their core beliefs, they told me to read Dianetics, which is their Bible. But when I looked for Dianetics, I had to buy the book, which if you are walking into a church and you want to understand their doctrines, they won't make you buy the book to leave with the book, the Bible. They may let you borrow it. They may not give it to you, but you can still leave with it, read it, and then return it when you're done, so that you get a better understanding for yourself. That's not the case with Scientologists, and that's not their only doctrine. They go into all these different levels and OTs, which are operating Satans. It's a big money scheme. And I didn't know that going in until I researched and started asking the questions about their theology.
Yeah, what we talked about last week is that they will not tell you their deepest part of theologies, unlike any other religion, which I think you walk into a church and you talk to a pastor and you say, you know, I don't know anything about Christianity, but I'm searching spiritually, please help me. It's not like the pastor is going to take you only so far and then make you pay thousands of dollars before you find out the real deal. You can find out
Right.
the so-called real deal right then and there. Same thing. You walk into a synagogue. The rabbi's going to be very open with you. This is what is believed. This is what is practiced. And so it is odd that people who are spiritually searching would be that patient when they are told, no, we can't tell you exactly how this whole crazy universe fits together until you hit this level, this level, this level, and then we'll let you know. And then when they let you know, from what I saw in the documentary, Going Clear, it's a little bit of a letdown, isn't it?
It is. And it's kind of like being told about Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, and not, when you're told one thing and then you get it rug pulled out from under you, because Dianetics and what they find out about Xenu are not the same, and it's not anything that people are wanting to understand, but they're so in-depth and invested at that point. Why wouldn't they believe? Because the actual belief about aliens is unfortunately one of those things that you cannot prove. The same thing, in which I'm not saying God is or is not real, but you can't prove one way or the other except by reading the Bible. They're saying the same thing about aliens and Dianetics.
So if you do read Dianetics, do you get the understanding that L. Ron Hubbard believes in alien life and that somehow alien life is connected to our theology, his theology?
No, aliens are not mentioned in Dianetics at all, except for the Satans, which are your souls.
I see.
And there's people have not one Satan, but they have up to several thousand in their body.
Okay. Now, I want to be clear on this too. Somebody recently said, because I was saying something rather disparaging about Scientology, and they were saying, well, you know, what difference does it make if they believe in this or that? And I said, not a darn thing. I have nothing against what they believe. I don't believe it, of course, but it's not what Scientology teaches as theology that is upsetting. It is how they conduct themselves as an organization and how they have destroyed so many people's lives. So,
Correct, because if you actually read Dianetics,